Welcome to the solution video for the Razor Pages challenge. Let's get started by creating a new project, and we'll create a new ASP.NET Core web application. Hit next. Let's give us a meaningful name. So let's call this the Razor Pages solution or challenge. How about that? Razor Pages challenge. Because solution is a actual name instead of C# and it's different. So Razor Pages Challenge App. Hit create. And once we do, we get this dialog here, which then asks us what type of ASP.NET Core web application you want to create. We're going to create a .NET Core, ASP.NET Core 2.2 web application, which is the Razor Pages template. We're going to leave this checkbox checked for configure for HTTPS on the right. We're going to disable the Docker support. We don't need that for now. I'll cover that in a future video. And we're going to leave authentication off because for the main part of this challenge, we're not using authentication. And the bonus, we're going to have to add it to an existing application. So that's going to be perfect for us to leave this off for now. And we hit create. And once that's done, we'll have our template. We can make sure it works, and we can start playing around with it. Okay, so now we have just our basic template. We can run it as an IS Express, or we can run it by itself. If we run it, just say Razor Pages Challenge itself and run this, what it's going to do is it's going to start up a console window. I'll drag this over. It's going to start this console window, which actually is our web host, which we can then watch any calls. Like here's a 200 call that loaded the main page, and that's this right here. So it did that. So anytime I make a call here, if we click privacy, watch this down here. When I did so, hey, nothing happened. That's awesome. So normally you'll see some changes here, but if I were to try something else like /test as, nothing happens. Excellent. Well, that does watch, but evidently it's having problems keeping up with what I'm doing. That's okay. So in any event, now we've got this running. Now let's called models. Inside here, let's create a person model. And we'll keep it really simple and say string full name, and that's it. So that's the full name of the user. That's where I use in this post method. In order to do that, we have to have it over here. So we can say prop person model, which will control dot on that to add the using statement. And we'll call this person. So that's the person. We'll say equals new person model. And we're going to make it bindable. So bind property, singular. That allows us to send this information via post or update it. So that's what we're going to do. And we'll create a public void on post as well. And what that does is it's going to capture our form. And that's all it's going to do. We just have a method called onPost. That's it. Because we're going to capture the information in this property. So the form, which is over here, that's going to, onPost, it's going to send the information right into this property, which we're going to load this page again. Therefore, it's going to send that information we just updated back to the page. So a little confusing, but I think once you see it, you'll get it. So let's create our div class equals form group. And inside here, we're going to create a label, which is ASP-4. And it's going to be our person dot full name. So it's going to label, and it's for the person dot full name. And then we're going to have an input, which is ASP. Notice the IntelliSense window is different depending on which one it's in. Label has had one option, 4. But input has a number of options. In this case, it's again 4, and it's the same thing, person dot full name. So one's the label for it, and one is the actual input for it. We're going to give us a class, and it's going to have form control. Like so. So there's our input, and we'll create one more of these form groups. So div class equals form group. And inside here, we're going to have a button. And the type is going to be submit button. And the class is going to be btn for button. btn dash, let's go with, let's do primary. And then we'll just say hi. And that's the message the button's going to say. So there's our form. And we have our property we're binding to, the person property. So we're binding to the person dot full name for both the label and the input. And we'll do up here is right below this h1 tag, we're going to create another one. We're going to have an if statement. So if, and we'll say string.is null or white space on model.user, person dot full name. Now, and we're going to say equals false. Now we could in here do the question mark like so. That way, if person was null, then it would stop right there and not do the if statement. But I don't think we need to do that because of the fact that we're assigning a value to person model right away. So it should never be null. Now I did equals false instead of putting the bang in front of string, the exclamation point. And this reads a little more clearly, I think, but it's up to you if you want to do it that way or not. But inside it's if, and notice the at symbol in front here. That's the razor syntax to say, okay, I'm going to do C# now. And now I can do the C# statement. But then inside here, I can just say H1 and say hello at model.person.fullname. So I'm mixing my HTML and my C# using these the at symbol, and anything that's a known HTML drops you back to HTML. So there you go. If there is a full name, it's going to display this H1 tag that says hello and the full name. Otherwise, don't show it. Let's run this. All right, so now we don't have a link in our menu, but I can just do say hi, and now we have the this page. By the way, this now updated. So say hi, finished in 70 milliseconds with 200. So it is updating now that I showed it to you and it wasn't working. Let's say Sue Storm, it's a full name. If I hit hi, now it says hello Sue Storm. But if I were to clear it out and do this, it goes away. And if I were to say Tim Corey and say hi, it shows my name. If I hit refresh, it's going to repost that data. Therefore, we're good. But if I were to come back to this page, like go here and then come back to it, it doesn't have my name anymore. So I have to fill it in and repost that. And now it's back. Okay, so that is how you do the first part of the challenge, which is to create a simple form and have it post back to that same form some kind of display. Now let's take on the next step, which is to add in authentication. That's the bonus challenge. So we have an existing application and we want to add authentication to it. So let's do a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to show you a way it's going to fail, and I'm going to show you why it fails, and then we're going to fix it. So let's right-click on Razor Pages Challenge, the project, and say Add New Scaffolded Item, Identity, hit Add, and we're going to let's expand this. We're going to override the login page. We're going to add in a data context class with just a standard name and the same for user class, and use SQLite instead of SQL Server. We hit add and it gets this error. Please install a following package to your project, Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQLite. And I think this is a bug. I'm not sure why it doesn't do it automatically. It should. But if we right click and say manage NuGet packages, and we look for the package entity framework core.SQLite, and we install that. And once that's approved, accepted, and installed, and there we go. Now it's installed. Now you can come back and do the same thing over again. Add new scaffolded item identity. We can override the login page. We can add in the standard pages. I believe it's the only thing we need to add. I'll leave the README text in the project. I won't delete it yet. So that's available to us in case we need to open back up and read through anything else we missed. But now we also need to, in our shared layout page, we don't have anything in here for the login information. So let's add that partial view for the login partial. So we can say right before the UL, we can say partial, and the name equals underscore login partial. And that's going to point to this login partial right here, which has the signed in versus signed out views for our menu. And now with just that, we should have our authentication system at least in place. We haven't yet built up our database, but it should at least be in place. Let's look, and there we go. We have register and login. If I hit login, now I can go to the login page. But it still says email, and there's no message here. that says, hey, never share or give out your password. Display name, oops, not name of, name equals corporate email. And what that'll do is when it says label for email, it's going to come up here and say, oh, the label is actually corporate email. It'll replace that. So that's part of our solution. Now below the password box, we have this password right below here. You want to have that message. Well, that's just a matter of modifying the page itself. So we'll say span, and we'll say class equals text.warning, which that's the yellow text, and we'll just put our never share or give out your password. We'll hit save, and we'll run this, and that should be the completed bonus challenge. Now, I haven't actually registered anybody. I haven't started up that database. We could do that, but I think that solves our actual issue or our actual solution for our bonus. So now we have corporate email here, and we have in yellow, never share or give out your password. It's kind of hard to see in the white. Probably not the right option. Maybe you should have done a red, but red's usually for an error. So maybe we could do a blue, or we could do maybe a green or something else, one of our other colors. Part of it is this color scheme is kind of hard. But that satisfies the bonus challenge. We now have authentication, and we've changed corporate email from email without changing the HTML, and we added in the message for never share or give out your password below the password box. Hopefully that kind of satisfies what you were thinking, kind of falls in line with what you were doing. And if not, maybe you stumbled across an area, but hopefully that kind of showed you what's going on or showed you how to solve the problems that you encountered. Thanks for watching. And as always, I am Tim Corey.